Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to a moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a few minutes in the Polished Beauty segment, we're joined by our newest contributor, Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon and highly respected obstetrician and gynecologist. She's also the host and creator of the Polished Beauty podcast. I'm so excited to be featuring today the amazing Dr. Eva Beaulieu, founder of Beaulieu Medical, a dedicated practice focused on patient care and wellness. Alongside her thriving practice, she's a wife, mother of three, social media influencer, and author of Paging Dr. You and Tell Me Where Does It Hurt? She's committed to inspiring minority women pursue careers in medicine and embrace a healthy, balanced lifestyle. Today's discussion dives into how Dr. Eva balances a thriving medical career, embraces strength and transparency on social media, and breaks taboos around women's health, challenging the norms and inspiring a new generation. I'm your host, Zen Sams, and today's Polished Beauty segment is indeed all about empowering women through business, beauty, brain, and body. I'm joined by my amazing co-host now, Dr. Daisy Ayim. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Hey, welcome. Hi, Dr. Eva.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
It's our pleasure.
So, Dr. Eva, thank you so much for joining. You've built quite an impressive career in medicine, all while maintaining a busy personal life, and you've been very transparent about this on social media. And interestingly enough, a Doximity report revealed that around 70% of doctors are now active on social media, using it as a tool to connect with patients and the public. So this is definitely a generational shift, as doctors traditionally kept their personal lives private. What impact has your social media presence had on your business, and how do you feel it helps foster a more engaged and trusting community?
Well, I started my social media journey, believe it or not, around 2019, so a little bit before the pandemic started. And a lot of people start write things on a journal to inspire themselves. I just started my journey on social media as a way to inspire myself by putting out positive things out there and then going back and reading it and inspiring myself. And I got a pretty good response from other people about it. And that kind of made me continue to just put things out there because I like to inspire, to educate, and empower women. And that's really, in a nutshell, how I started my social media journey. Not too long before the pandemic. And right around the pandemic was when a lot of people were curious about what was happening. They had questions about the virus and a lot of things happening with the frontliners. And so a lot of doctors were putting more things on social media than before.
Okay, Dr. Daisy, this is a perfect time for you to come in. As someone who's been in the field just a little bit longer, you've seen the landscape change. And now, historically, doctors kept a certain level of privacy, but today, transparency is key to connecting with a modern audience. I'm curious, how do you see this shift in openness on social media among doctors, and how has it affected your practice and relationships with patients?
I've been practicing for 17 years. So I have had an established business, never was online, didn't really know anything about social media. And it really didn't come into my radar in 2020 when everybody was sitting at home or I was sitting here in my office and I could only do obstetrics and everything else in my practice was shut down. And I was like, oh, there's social media. And the irony is that in my practice, I actually had on my manual, my staff, you're not allowed to be on Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, because I saw it as it's not good for the practice, for whatever they do off the practice, they brought it here. And I just didn't like that energy. And I was like, no, none of that in the practice. So I was very much like, keep that abreast. Let's focus on the work, focus on the patient. And then 2020 happened. And I was like, oh, what is this thing? What is Instagram? What is that? And for me, it's been 4 years now? I'm embracing it, but not, I think, to the extent like Dr. Eva or other younger doctors, where I just see there completely everything is out there. And to each to his. So my personality, I think I'm more reserved.
So
Yeah.
Dr. Eva, okay, so following up on that, what advice would you give to younger doctors who are navigating exactly this, the fine line between sharing just enough to build trust with their audience and keeping some parts of their lives private?
I think setting clear boundaries, trying to figure out exactly what are you trying to accomplish with your social media account. You can still be authentic while at the same time not having to share everything about your personal life. And so setting up those clear boundaries about what it is that you're trying to convey, what it is that you're trying to do with your social media page will really make things a lot clearer for people trying to navigate that world. Also, making sure that HIPAA, we still have HIPAA, we still have patient confidentiality. So you
Yeah.
don't want to care too much about patient's identity, age, or anything that can be identifiable to a patient because that can get you in trouble. But I still think that social media is more positive than negative because you have a way of reaching out to a broader audience. You have a way of teaching more people and showing more people what it's really like to be a woman who's a professional, who's trying to manage multiple facets of her life, who's trying to raise a family, who's trying to have a business, who's trying to see patients. So um, I think it's a lot of positive trying to show the younger generation what it's like to be able to maneuver all of these things and do it well.
I think I call social media the yellow pages of today's time. And the yellow pages is creating content constantly. In our time, the yellow page, you just write your office and your location and the phone number, and that was it. Now you have to create content and keep it going. And I agree with you. I think there's a lot of positive in it if you approach it the right way. Use it in the right form, in the right medium. But staying true to yourself, I think, really boils down to a personality. And I think for me, it's funny because I see some of my patients on social media. They've known me for 17 years. I have to be the same doctor they know and the same person online. I can't all of a sudden come with this. I call it whatever, Sasha Fierce personality. It's like, wait a minute, that's not you, Daisy.
You did. It's true. And speaking of balance, you're also an author, right? So I'm going to go back to this and a dedicated professional in the medical field. And according to Medscape, we have about 45% of physicians that report burnout. So this is a severe thing. Women are more prone to it than men. How do you manage to balance the demands of your medical career with your personal life and creative outlets? Because you're also an author.
Well, it comes down to really trying to cultivate the multiple sides of me. I always say that medicine is what I do and medicine is not who I am. I'm still me. I'm still a girly girl who likes to travel, who likes to go out with my friends, who likes to spend time with my family. I also have passions for my patients. And so trying to cultivate the multiple personalities that I have without feeling bad about it and knowing that it's okay. It's normal to want to have a life outside of medicine and not feel ashamed. I think there's a stereotype out there where people think that once you go into medicine as a woman, your life is over. You're not going to have time to do anything. You're not going to have time to have a family if that's what you wish to do. You're not going to have time to do anything outside of medicine. And I want to break that mold and show people that it's not true because I'm living proof that you can still be a successful physician and still have a successful personal life as well.
Yeah, I think in general, medicine was very traditional in its outlook on women and basically put women in this narrow box. And I think it's really nice to see this young female surgeons just being out there. And I say surgeon because that's the one specialty in medicine that was the most restrictive for women to do certain things. So when I see these young female surgeons on social media going out and just putting all the different facets of themselves, I'm like, yes, that's how it should be.
Yeah, you guys speak the same language. Now, many women still feel uncomfortable discussing sexual wellness, even with their doctors. But I want to really address this because this is at the heart of it all. Dr. Eva, you have an incredible practice. How do you approach these conversations in your practice? And what steps can other doctors take to help remove the stigma surrounding female sexual health?
I think as physicians, a lot of times, and it's part of the training, they teach you to suppress your other sides of you and to just remain that professional, which is important. But at the same time, you are also human and you have to learn how to connect with your patients that are standing in front of you. So, what I do is I try to just lower my guards, um, cultivate trust because that's also very important, cultivate relatability, and just letting my patients know, look, I'm human just like you.
I think it's easy too when you have a solo practice or you're in a private practice, because you're a physician, if you're employed by a hospital or you have a group practice, your time is kind of limited because your expectation and admin and all these core measures you have to meet. And sometimes it interferes with that patient physician relationship and time available to really bond and give them what they want. But when you're in a solo practice or private practice, it's a bit different. You kind of set the tempo and the speed and the time with that particular woman to address her sexual needs. And my experience here, it's like when they're coming here, they know they're seeing a gynecologist. I think it's a little bit different because that conversation is already about that area. So they are more relaxed and at ease to ask the question. And then you, the surgeon or the physician, determine how relaxed they will be when it's one-on-one. Do they feel like they can just talk to you or they have to hide back their feelings?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I want to go back to addressing something that is, I think, extremely important that I've noticed is something that you both are very well known for doing. So let's talk about strength training. It's such an empowering activity for women. Dr. Eva, how has this impacted your health? And what would you say to women looking to redefine their strength through physical activity?
I think when I left residency, I really wasn't the person that I am today. I was drenched in medicine 24/7. I would come home and still have notes to write, emails to answer. And then one day I decided that I wanted to set some boundaries. And those boundaries included leaving work at work and coming home to focus on my family, and also finding time for me. As women, we are so used to putting everybody else first. We don't put ourselves first. And being a physician means even more of that, because you thought that your patients come first, your family comes second, and you come last. And I didn't want to do that anymore. And so that's when I decided to put some time for me on my schedule, because on my schedule, the kids had a space, my husband had a space, even my pets had a space. I had no space for me. And so I decided to put gym time into my schedule. And over time, I realized how amazing it was for my mental and my physical health.
Wow, that's really good. I think one of the reasons why I went into private practice solo, not group, for that reason alone, because I was in control of my plan and my time. So I could easily say, okay, today I'm going to leave the clinic at 3 because I have to go and pick up my daughter, or I have to do this with her, or have to do something. And I didn't have to talk to anyone. It was just me. So I determined the flow of my practice, the flow of my schedule. And the irony is that your patients, when they know that it's only you, they always see you, they are understanding. And that's what I learned was a secret sauce with this, was even with the OBGYN, I have to go deliver, they understood. They're like, you know what? I know she's my doctor. I'm going to wait. And it was just a different feeling. And I'm grateful that I didn't have that, join a practice or join a hospital. And along the way, have to be like, oh God, my time is taken. I have nothing left. Never experienced that. And I hope not to.
Yeah. Now, one last question here, or maybe two last questions if we have time. Mentorship is such a key part of growth in any field, without a doubt, but especially in medicine. How do you mentor younger women in the field? And what's your message to those facing barriers as they try to build their medical careers?
I just think that it's very important to be as relatable as possible and as honest as possible about the journey. Because I
Mhm.
see a lot of people on social media only showing the positive, the
Yeah.
good parts, and not talking about the negative and the bad parts. So I just want to let the younger generation know that, yeah, it's a fulfilling career. It's amazing to take care of other people and help them along their journey. But then at the same time, there are a lot of roadblocks. There's a lot of barriers. There's a lot of ups and downs, and that is a part of the journey. And so by putting that out there, um, I'm just setting the tone to let them know that they're not alone in facing whatever they're facing. And I'm also very open. I answer my DMs, I answer my emails, I get on the phone with people. Sometimes I get on Zoom calls when I can, and I answer as many questions as I possibly can to kind of help them along their journey. We need more women in this field,
Mhm.
especially minority women. And so I'm hoping to, switch that stereotype out there so that more of us could be in this field in the near future.
Yeah, I think that's really good what you're doing, Dr. Eva. I mean, I really commend. I say the younger social media doctors, because in our time, if you did half of what was going on now, you'd be written up or getting some calls somewhere. Next thing you know, you're in some big trouble, right? But I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to write your book? And how did you find the time to dedicate and create that creative juice out of it?
So, Paging Dr. You, a step by step guide to becoming a doctor, is literally a guide written in very simple words for any kid that's even as young as 12.
Mhm.
Because after I left residency and looking back at my journey and a lot of things that I had to go through, I thought were normal, that they made you think was normal, were not normal.
Mm.
Um, and also looking back, um, there weren't a lot of people that looked like me, right? And so I wanted to kind of change the narrative again. Why is that? It's not because we're not smart. It's because I feel the system is meant to fail us. And that's truly what I feel. And I wanted to write a simple guide to let others know exactly what they need to do as early as possible to position themselves for success.
Very nice. I just have one thing before you go. Okay. So the tagline for the podcast is where ambition meets empowerment. So the one question I have for you is, what is the one bold step you have taken in your career or life that truly embodies your ambition and empowered you to get where you are today?
Probably the realization that I matter.
Mm.
I think throughout my whole career, it was more so everybody else matters more than you.
Mm.
Your patients matter more than you. Your family matters more than you. Everything else. So you thought to just be out there and serve and serve and serve and not accept anything in return. And so when I realized that I mattered, I
Mhm.
started making some changes. And a lot of those changes included putting some time for myself, utilizing my resources and not doing everything by myself, including nanny services, people to come and clean the house, anything that would free up some of my time, and also being okay with saying no.
Mm.
'Cause I didn't know how to say no before. And now I can say no a lot easier, which is very empowering for me.
Nice.
Well, we are officially at the end of this incredible interview. Thank you both so much for joining. It's been incredibly inspiring speaking to the both of you.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
That was the Polished Beauty segment, and that was the amazing Dr. Daisy Ayim. Definitely head to her website, drdaisyayim.com, and on the gram at Dr. Daisy Ayim. And you can learn more of the Polished Beauty podcast at polishedbeauty.com. And without a doubt, do not forget to follow the incredible Dr. Eva Beaulieu. You can check her out on Instagram at dr.evab. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this. A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Polished Beauty Podcast with Dr. Daisy Ayim. Hey, ambitious women, ready to shine on the inside and out? Tune in to the Polished Beauty Podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, brains, and body all in one spot. Meet Dr. Daisy Ayim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, pro-aging advocate, fitness enthusiast, and your go-to for real talk on leveling up every part of your life. The Polished Beauty Podcast is your dose of ambition meets empowerment. For more information, head to polishedbeautypodcast.com.